Welcome to Ultimate Python course of 101 awesome must-know programs. I have divided this course into 5 exciting sections. Section 1 Python Fundamentals, Section 2 Data Structure, Section 3 Algorithms, Section 4 Advanced Topics, and Section 5 Cool Fun Projects. So are you ready for this exciting journey? Let's begin with the problem number 1 of 101. Write a program to calculate area of a circle. So our very first problem out of 101 problems, we have to calculate the area of a circle. Unlike the orthodox hello world program, we will be writing the program to calculate area of a circle. As I have already told you, this course is problem oriented and is based on problem solving techniques. So our first problem is to calculate area of a circle. Let's see how this can be done. So just to calculate the area of a circle, we must know the radius, and we know the formula to calculate the area of a circle. This is pi r square, where r is the radius of the circle and pi is a constant. So this problem can be solved into 3 simple steps. Step number 1, we take input, that is we'll take radius from the user. Step number 2, we will use the formula and we will calculate the area. So this is where we will be using the expression. Then in the third step, the calculated area will be displayed to the user using the printing statement. So here we'll be learning the 3 major concepts. 1, how to take input from the user. 2, how to use expressions in Python for calculation. And 3, how to print or display results to the user. So let's see, we have a very simple code for this. We'll be implementing this into VS Code as well. We'll be using the package that is a math package, which will be holding all the constants and necessary functions for the mathematical calculation. So here it is the math. So here it is the math package that we'll be using in the Python. As we all know that Python has a very rich library and packages. We'll use import keyword to include any package math from which we'll be using the pi constant. Okay, let's start with the first step, taking input from the user. To take input from the user, we use the input function. And inside the input function, we can specify the message that the user will see. Once the user will see the message, it will enter the value of the radius. And now we need to convert the value of that radius into our required data type. So what is data type? So in the data type means we can have an integer value like 4, 5 and something. We can also have float values, which are decimal values like 4.5, 5.3. So here we can see that the radius is a decimal type. So we need to convert it into a float data type. And then we'll be storing it into a variable. Now what is a variable? Variable are where we can store value. So that let's say if the radius input is 4.5, so this 4.5 will be stored into the variable. Here we have given the name of the variable as radius. Now we will be using this expression to calculate the area of the circle. And inside the math package, we have a constant pi. So we'll be using math.pi to get that constant. As we all know that the value of the pi is 3.14. We can also use this 3.14 instead. Using math package gives us benefit of getting actual value of the pi. Then we will multiply this. Here we have a multiply sign. This is the operator that we use to multiply radius into radius, that is r square. So we have to multiply r by 2. So radius into radius. So this is the expression which will calculate the area. Now to print the value, we will be using the print function that prints the values to the user, and we'll be using a formatted printing where we can print the message and the variable together. And we can also use the formatting. So here we can say we have used .2f, which means if the result is 4.3579, then we will specify this till 2 decimal places, let's say 4.35. So let us create the program into VS Code. For that, I'll open the VS Code. I'll suggest you that you create a folder with 101 Python programs and then create all the Python files inside this. So I have already created 101 Python files using the Python script just in one click. If you want to know how I did this, you need to comment and ask me for this. I'll tell you how I have created all these 101 files using one Python script. If you want to create files one by one, you can go to the file and you can have a new file section and you can create a new file 1.py, 2.py or something like this. Or you can also click here on the new file icon and you can create 1.py, 2.py, 3.py and so on. I'll suggest you that for 101 programs, you create 1.py, 2.py, one after the other, or you can also create it in one Python script. So I've already created this 1.py and I'll write the program into this. So the first step is to get the package. So we are using the math package. So our first line would be import math. Remember, if you do not have math library in your Python, then you can simply install this using pip install Python. So you can write here in the command line, you can write pip install math. I have already installed it with the Python. I do not need to install it. The first step is import math. The second step is to take input from the user. So let's say if I write input and then I'll give a message to the user, let's say, please enter radius. So the user will know that I have to enter the radius, and that radius I need to convert into a float data type. That means we want to convert that into the decimal value, and then I'll be storing that result into a variable. I can name this variable as radius. You can also name it something else, like you can do it as r. Now we need to apply the expression, the formula that we will be using to calculate the area, and calculated area will also need to be stored in a variable. So we'll be using a variable area, and now we'll be using math.pi just to get the pi thing, and then we'll multiply this with r square, radius into radius. So this will give us r square. So now we have this expression that is calculating the area of a circle. We have stored that area into the variable area. Now we need to print this. So we'll use the print function here. We'll be writing f to format so that we can print the message and the variable together. Now we'll write the area of circle, and then we can specify in the curly brackets whatever the result. So this is area. And we can also specify how many decimal places we want to print. For that, we'll use a colon dot 2f. That means it will print the value till 2 decimal places. Now let us execute this program. So once we have executed this using this run Python file, you can also execute your code from this run section. And then we have here, you can see in the terminal, please enter the radius that we have asked the user into the input function. Now we need to input the radius. Let's say if I input 2.5, and then we'll hit an enter. After the enter, this is executed and the result is printed with the message. You can see the area of a circle is 19.63 as we have specified for 2 decimal places. Now let me change this from 2 to 3, and then I'll run it again. And now it is asking again radius. So this time I'm entering 2.34, and if I hit enter, now you can see the result is in 3 decimal places. So congratulations to all. You all have created your first ever Python program. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask me in the comment box, and do not forget to subscribe the channel so that you don't miss any of the awesome 101 Python programs. I have created this course so that we can learn as much as Python concepts in the most shortest and exciting way. Believe me, with the end of this 101 Python programs, you will be knowing all the concepts of the Python, and you will be developing games like a pro. So write this code in your VS Code and see whether you are able to execute this or not, and we'll meet in the next problem very soon. Till then, subscribe the channel. Have a nice day.